AITAH for buying a hot tub after they banned my brother from the pool he paid for. I'm a 30-year-old man. My 14-year-old younger brother Pete, along with his two best friends C and J, both also 14, came up with a brilliant idea back in mid-June to buy an above-ground pool to get through the scorching summer we usually have, especially since the local community pool was shutting down. Since no adult wanted to buy it for them as a gift, they rolled up their sleeves and got to work. Pete mowed lawns and did yard work all around the county, and the other two did their own chores. After a few weeks, they pooled all their money together and bought a cheap above-ground pool. C's parents, Jay's parents, and I were really impressed and felt they totally earned it through hard work. We all agreed to set it up in C's backyard, since it's the biggest of the three. They filled it up, did all the heavy lifting, and the very first weekend it was ready, the three of them had a blast enjoying the water. The problem is that was the only time Pete and Jay were ever allowed in. C, apparently, is allowed to hop in whenever he wants, but no one else. They had asked for permission multiple times and were always shot down. One day, while I was at work, Pete sneaked over to get into the pool. When C's dad caught him out there, he came out and yelled at him big time, though, according to Pete, C was in the water too. When I want to talk to C's parents to clear things up, I asked why the kids were banned from using it. C's dad hid behind the excuse that Pete had gone in without permission, something I understand and don't justify. But when I asked why they are always denied access, they hit me with liability reasons. According to them, if anything happened to anyone like drowning, they didn't want to carry the blame, so it was easier just to ban anyone who wasn't their son. But these are teenagers, not toddlers, and they all know how to swim. At the end of the conversation, C's dad smugly dropped, "The pool is on my property, and we used our water to fill up, so we decide what to do with it." I got pissed and raised my voice a bit, reminding them that they didn't buy that pool. It belonged to their son, my brother, and Jay. I completely understand it's on their property, but withholding it and banning the very people who invested their own money to acquire it was a low blow. They didn't know what to say and threatened that if I brought it up again, Pete would be banned from their house entirely, something that would crush my brother, since he loves going over there. So I had to swallow my pride and leave it at that. Pete was furious, and rightly so. He spent time venting to anyone who would listen while playing online games with his friends. He even suggested calling the cops, but I stopped him, even though it felt like they essentially stole from him. I didn't want to take it that far. He and C have been friends for nearly 10 years and do everything together, so I refused to see them fall out over something so petty. So I came up with another idea. I went online, looked around, and found an inflatable hot tub that cost pretty much the same amount they had spent on the damn pool. Was it a slightly childish move on my part? Maybe. Did I have to dip a bit into my savings? Yes. Could Pete have bought his share of the pool back on his own? Maybe, but he was excited about it, and I have enough things on my plate. Besides, it's good for him to learn to work for what he wants. And honestly, a hot tub works wonders for my back. Ever since we set it up, Pete has been in it almost every day. His friends are welcome too, with the one simple rule that they must shower at their own houses before or after getting in. It comfortably fits about 5 people. Jay and C have come over tons of times to enjoy the hot tub, and their parents have noticed. Jay's dad is thrilled. He thinks what C's parents did is complete nonsense, but he's glad the boys at least got some reward for all their hard work. C's parents, on the other hand, are fuming. C confessed to me himself that he'd rather be in the hot tub with his friends than swimming alone in his huge pool, something his parents just can't process. I haven't spoken to them directly about this, but C has heard his mom bitterly complain that the whole neighborhood looks at them sideways and thinks they're child-hating monsters for barring access to a pool they didn't even pay for. It doesn't help that Pete keeps bringing it up with local kids who now come over to hang out in the hot tub. Sometimes I run into C's mom at the grocery store, and she won't even make eye contact with me. I know my move was a bit petty, but tell me the truth. Am I the asshole here? Update. This blew up way more than I ever imagined. Thanks to everyone for your input. I just want to clear up a couple of details. I am 30 years old. C's parents are quite wealthy. Honestly, I highly doubt the water bill or pool maintenance puts any dent in their finances. I'm well aware Pete is owed his proportional share of the money for the pool, but the relationship with C's parents is already way too tense to stir the pot further. Besides, Pete hasn't even asked about the money. All he really cared about was being able to use it. I completely ruled out small claims court. It would be an absolute waste of time and money for everyone. And frankly, the only people unhappy with the current outcome are C's parents.